Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Badlands National Park. Deanna and I are going to do 21 miles over the next couple of days, setting up camp, eating food, carrying everything we need to on our backs. I hope you have fun. It sure is a pretty day. We are out here on the beautiful first day of June 2024. And at the moment, I'm not seeing what's so bad about these lands. I'm sure it'd be pretty tough to get a wagon over it if you're a pioneer or a settler. But I think they're just magnificent. What do you think?
They're pretty cool. It's also really hot out here, though.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
That's why we're staying hydrated. All right, let's continue on. We are going through Badlands springtime right now, and so there's a riot of colors going on, from some hidden gentle oranges to some magnificent purples and magentas to some subtle blush pinks to an extraordinary abundance of yellows. I mean, not to mention, there's this green everywhere. This place is exploding with life right now, including us. For those of you expecting me to talk about science, you will not be disappointed. So, let's talk about spring for a moment. Here we have a bunch of flowers. Everything in the world that is living needs to reproduce in some way to carry on its genes. And flowers and plants are no different. So you see here, flowers are the way that plants reproduce. And of course, flowers pretty much always lead to some kind of fruit that you see here. What the flower does, because it's not very good at meeting other people, it doesn't move around too much, it calls out with bright colors, it calls out with beautiful smells for insects and other pollinators to come in, take pollen from one flower to another, and when the pollen of one flower mixes with the other components of another flower, it creates a seed that germinates generally into a fruit. That is what the flowers and plants use to reproduce the next generation. So anytime you eat any kind of fruit, just know you're eating the products of reproduction. And enjoy. Deanna and I were just talking about how much we appreciated the simplicity of hiking. It's obvious forward progress. When you're a kid, it's kind of clear that you're making progress. You're going from second grade to third grade, or 10th grade to 11th grade. You're getting A's, B's, or C's. You can kind of determine how well you're doing. But when you're an adult, that kind of stuff all goes away. Your age stops mattering. There's no clear goals except those that you set for yourself. You have to start asking yourself a lot of awkward questions. Am I a good parent? Am I a good employee? Do I like what I'm doing? And oftentimes those answers aren't super obvious. But when you're out here in nature, you're taking step after step. It becomes a lot more clear what your goal is. Kind of sets your mind at peace. Hiking's a good time. Deanna and I are starting to understand why they're calling these the Badlands. Everything kind of looks exactly the same. The trail is extremely twisty and windy, trying to follow the edges of these things. A lot going on. So we can imagine now why the pioneers might have been a little frustrated by these. There's only a small chance of rain, 10 or 15%. But the clouds are building. It's a good thing I brought our ponchos anyway. We'll see if we need them. Deanna called this grassland relentless. It's a lot of grass, and we're just supposed to follow this fence for a while through the grass. Well, let's carry on. I have a joke that might be a little bit offensive to our audience. What do you call a sport like baseball except for worse? Anyone? Anyone? You call it cricket. Yeah, I told you the audience wouldn't like that one. I'm getting crickets. We may have spoken a little too soon about the joys of following an obvious trail and making obvious progress in life. But this is a backcountry wilderness path, so we're kind of finding a new joy in blazing our own trail. But I do assure you, we're checking the map and we're following it to the best of our ability, but it's going through the middle of nowhere, which has its own sense of fun, don't you think?
Maybe.
We'll find out. Another thing about the Badlands, and I guess the Great Plains in general, is they can be pretty dry. Even when it does rain, all the water is absorbed by the soil pretty darn quick. Imagine being a pioneer expecting to find some water at this creek, and you get here and it's this. Talk about disappointing. Heading towards afternoon on our first day of backpacking, we can start to see one of the big appeals of the Badlands. Just the shadows starting to kind of change the landscape as the sun moves away. If you come to the Badlands and you don't go during sunrise or sunset, I feel like you're missing most of the point. You need to see those shadows and the color just change. You know, it's been really flat up to this point. Nice leisurely stroll through the grass. And all of a sudden we hit this wall, and the only way through is over. It's about to get a little steep in a minute here. Okay, I just walked up this very steep slope. There's my wife still sitting at the bottom enjoying some water and gummy candy. Even without a 30-pound pack, that was pretty steep. So we're gonna see about it. It's a heck of a view though, right? Well, we talked about reproduction. Let's talk a little bit about child rearing. Plants are also parents. Anytime two plants create a new seed, that's a baby child. And so they also have to take care of them. They have many different strategies to do this. For instance, thinking about apples or raspberries, the parent plant creates a bunch of sugar and vitamins, and it packages it up and keeps that with a little seed to provide it a way to survive as it starts growing. Some berries, though, are specifically for animals to take. They eat the seed in the berry, which helps the seed in the sense that it spreads it far and wide. When it sits in the bear or the rabbit's intestines, it's going far away from its parent, so it's not going to compete, and it'll have a better chance of surviving away from competition. And there's a fun option here, the dandelion. Another way that parents can help their children is to allow them to go far away from where they were born, and also to have a lot of them. So when you're picking a dandelion, each of these little things here is a seed, and when you're blowing on them, you're allowing them to go with the wind, carrying far away, spreading out, so they have the best chance of survival. Because if everybody stays in the same spot, they're all competing for resources, and they're competing with the parent, which is no fun either. So, and help out a plant at the same time. And you'll notice, though there was like 50 different seeds on there, human parents sometimes have a bunch of different children. And that's often because they know not all of them will survive, but occasionally one will. So they're providing, strength in numbers. So any of you that have a large family, your parents know that at least one of you will survive. Speaking of the rock formation itself, the Badlands, which I'm sure you can see from here, have these crazy flat layers running all the way through them. Some more orange, some more white, some more yellow, some more gray. And these nice flat layers, and the only way you get layers like that is if they settle in a very gentle, very calm environment over a very long period of time. And the main theory for that is that this was a very shallow sea or a very, very massive lake in the middle of North America. And all these rivers fed into it and dropped all their sediment. And the sediment just collected in these fine lines, sometimes more orange, containing iron, which rusted, sometimes more yellow, containing phosphorus, sometimes other colors. And then all these layers were pushed up by mountain building activity. So this is no longer a shallow sea or a massive lake, obviously. And once it was pushed up, it started to get eroded by wind and rain and ice, creating these spike-like, fantastical forms that we see today. I'm going to name this little valley the Valley of Teeth. There you got a little canine. There's another canine. We even got a molar right there. Nice flat top. A couple other baby teeth down the way. Almost makes you hungry, doesn't it? I think that's its home right there. Big old eared jackrabbit. Yeah, we are in the middle of the bad. Feet hurt? Uh-oh. We've happened upon a village. We've taken it by surprise. It is a village of prairie dogs sitting outside of their holes, scuttering around. When they see us, they're gonna get a little bit louder. And he's gone. But what's left over, by golly, is the wind blowing across the grass. And that's just lovely. Knock, knock. Anybody home? No. I think I'm gonna name this valley Finger Valley. Got a finger right there. Got another little finger right there. We got a whole hand. If you need a hand, come to Finger Valley. Tagline. Haven't mentioned it until now, but we've been seeing a lot of evidence of a herd of bison somewhere nearby. From bison poop, sometimes called buffalo chips. We've seen a lot of fur as they're shedding towards the warmer season. Big old tufts of it looking like wool. Yeah, big old chunk. So fluffy. But slightly less happy is this evidence of bison that we're seeing. Can you see it? Oh, there it is. That is a big old boy. There's a leg. That seems to be a head. We got a rib cage over here. Some back legs. Holy Toledo. I'm pretty sure I've never actually seen a dung beetle before. I don't think so. I thought they were from like the Sahara. But here's two of them. They're trying to share a ball of poop. From what I've heard, dung beetles roll them into a nice little ball. They lay their eggs in them. As they hatch, the little larvae inside get the nutrients they can out of it as they grow. That is the funniest. That's interesting. About 2.5 liters. Well, like I said, we've been seeing evidence of bison for hours. And then all of a sudden, I think we're seeing the real deal here. Let's get a little bit closer. Alright, we've made it to our first night's campsite. Set up the tent right there in that little gully to shelter from the wind. Some people say you can't have a fancy meal and bring a really nice pan to cook a good meal with when you're backpacking. Some people say you can't have like a really nice chair to enjoy a nice sit. Some people say you can't enjoy a view of the Badlands and a giant bison herd. If you have a dream, if you got a good dream, you live your dream. You bring a lightweight fancy chair. You bring a lightweight, high quality stove. If you want a beautiful view of the Badlands as you enjoy your dinner, and if you want a bison herd in the background, I say you go live your dreams. Because those seem like good dreams. There's two guys over here. Where are you? There's one. And there's two. Alright, we just had a beautiful sunset. And now we're in what you can see is a pretty awesome lightning storm off in the distance. Good time?
Good time.
Good. Sitting at the top of this crest of the Badland. Alright, we've had an update in the storm. It's gotten a little bit closer. There's some rain falling on the canvas. Obviously quite a lot of lightning. A little bit closer now. And it scared a fart out of my wife. So it stinks a little bit in here. But we are warm, we are dry, and by the morning this will probably blow out. But for the moment, we're pretty excited. Wow. That is a lot of lightning. I did have to include that because it stinks in here. Good morning, folks. That was definitely one of the more exciting nights of camping Deanna and I have ever had. Storm blew itself out pretty quick, but not before it turned the dirt of our campsite to pretty silty mud. which pulled out one of the tent stakes. Luckily, right after that happened, the storm kind of died, and so I had to go out in the middle of the night and fix one of the tent stakes, which got a corner of our corner of our stuff inside the tent a little wet. But besides that, we are currently dry. It's about 7:38 in the morning. It's windy. It's already a nice temperature. All those dry rivers, not dry, as you can see, filled with some water there. And the buffaloes seem like they're doing great. So, we're all doing fine. When I was 4 years old. I see a tall thing, I climb a tall thing. So I started up over there, and I decided to follow the ridge all the way up. There's a few sketchy points. It is really sharp here at some of the top points. I wouldn't recommend other people do it, but I enjoy climbing things. Deanna, I know you're still asleep as I record this, but I'm alive, so we're good. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, when you're doing mountain climbing or any strenuous, dangerous activity, it's always super important to wear the right kind of shoes. But like, seriously though, look how sharp and steep some of these sections are. Definitely don't do this. Alright, we packed up, survived that storm, and we're ready for day 2. Say goodbye, campsite.
Goodbye, campsite.
We'll miss you. It was fun. It was too exciting, but it was fun.
Almost got struck by lightning.
Alright, now let's go investigate that herd of bison over there. That right there is a big herd of bison on the move. Always in search of more delicious grass. Talk about rugged terrain. Looks like some alien world here. Tree seems out of place among all these grasses and flowers. It's a sign that maybe a river is nearby. Which reminds me, being in this like weird little valley, Badland area, we had to cross like 5 different rivers, or maybe it was the same river 5 times. And I may or may not have fell in a little bit. I'll let you guys guess which shoe fell in. Here's river crossing number 11 billion teen. Luckily it's like the easiest river crossing we've had. At this stage, it's just about...
It's just a creek.
Yeah, it's like a centimeter deep. But we've had worse. Well, I think we completed our wildlife bingo card. We have some cliff swallows. I thought I saw swallows earlier. Beautiful midnight blue, and now we know where they're all coming from. This whole cliff face is just covered. Wow. That's awesome. Alright, we have reached the last difficult portion of our trail. We've actually reached Sage Creek, We're following it for the next 3 or 4 miles, which will take us back to the flat plains and nearly to our car. Boy, after that big rain, I hope it's not super clogged up here. Thus far, it's been okay. A few times I got my foot a little wet, but mostly it's been navigable. Let's pray it stays that way. All right, we've been walking the Sage Creek riverbed for the last couple hours, or hour and a half or so. It's pretty beautiful, but we've already had a long day today and yesterday, so we're feeling a little tired.
Ran out of water.
Yeah, we should have packed 1 more liter of water, but we're approaching the end of the riverbed. We're about to get to Deer Haven, the last big stopping point before we go a couple more miles to the end. So we're just an hour or two from completely done with the trail. There's a bunch of trees. That's evidence that we're about to get into Deer Haven campground. Take a break there and stretch up before the last push. We have reached Deer Haven, the only place with any trees for just about 1 billion miles. Luckily, we already have some shade from the clouds building. Hopefully those don't burst with some rain. But take a quick break and set off for the last home stretch towards the car. Okay, we are back down to the valley floor below the Badlands. And I have to say, guys, do not do the Sage Creek Wildlife Loop unless you are an extremely skilled hiker.
And mountain climber.
Yeah, more skilled than us. Take a look. It may not look like much from here, but we had to hike up some of those knife edge ridges, fight our way through some thick trees up at the top, and then go up another knife edge ridge. It was one of the more dangerous things I've ever done. And I'm not gonna do it again.
Not worth it.
But we are pretty close to the end. We're gonna get our Gatorade on, some delicious food, and we're going to celebrate. I hope you can celebrate us still being alive after finishing that last part. And thanks for watching.
Show the sunset.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Thanks for watching the Overtons do the Sage Creek Wildlife Loop. It'll probably be the only time. And this is a segment I'm calling Telling Jokes to Wildlife. Hey, what does a buffalo say when he's letting his kid go to school for the first time? Bison. The bird thought it was funny. He didn't like it. Oh my gosh, we did it. Those last couple miles were pretty rough, even though they were flat. But we can see the cars. We can see the sunset on the Badlands. Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. Thank you for following along.